That's like the cardinal sin to any entrepreneur. You just open up Pandora's box on it. We are a digital entertainment platform for commercial spaces. We enhance the customer experience for our commercial partners, and they don't have to download an app and they don't have to give personal information.
All right. So welcome to today's show. We have an exciting guest. We have Scott Janney from Magazine Jukebox. Welcome, Scott.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've shared with people a few times now, and you're another one of them.
We're always expanding.
We found each other through
growing.
LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty active on social media, as people know.
Yep.
And we connected through LinkedIn, and here we are today. Scott is the co-founder of Magazine Jukebox. So go check it out on our website. We're going to talk about the product, and we're obviously just going to share Scott's entrepreneurial journey and story today. And Carla, what do we have at the end of the show for him?
Of course, we have a deal. So Dave has negotiated with Scott for a discount for all of our viewers. So as you learn about Magazine Jukebox and decide if you want to try it in your store like we have in ours, there is a discount on our services page.
Yeah, and even better, they have a premium service that we'll talk about throughout the show today that I think is really going to help if you own a laundromat or honestly any small business.
Yeah.
But they also have a free version. So we not only have a discount, but we have a giveaway. And that's all thanks to our partnership that we formed here with Scott and the team at Magazine Jukebox. So Scott, would you do us a favor? I'm going to refer to you as a serial entrepreneur. I'm guessing you've probably said that you're that. I think you definitely qualify as that. Tell us a little bit about kind of your background and your story. Obviously, we're here to talk about Magazine Jukebox, and we'll get there real quickly. But tell us about, you own some insurance agencies, and you even have some side hustles of trading ball cards. And tell us about this crazy entrepreneurial journey that you have.
Yeah. So, thank you very much, both of you, for having us on. And I absolutely love our partnership. And it's, every now and then you're very fortunate to have partnerships that just completely align and that. But I'm definitely a serial entrepreneur. And I love that you mentioned that we found each other on LinkedIn. I tell high schoolers and middle schoolers all the time, if you would just allocate 20% of the time you put on social media to building your LinkedIn presence, that when you go into the world to work or you're finishing up college, whatever path you take, when you're looking for help or you're looking for your next job, you don't have to go through all these expensive ways to find the new job. You can literally just start posting stuff on LinkedIn. You already have the presence, and anybody can find me as well on LinkedIn. If you just type in, I think it's linkedin.com/in/Scott MJB. So Magazine Jukebox MJB. But yeah, so a serial entrepreneur. Yes, I am that. Guilty as charged. I can date back my bug for entrepreneurship through my dad. And sometimes I think a lot of times, we can pass our dreams on to our children. Mm-hmm. And my father always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but he got stuck in a high position with the government. And it's really hard to walk away from that. When you do that, you kind of chase the money. And so you move a lot. So, growing up, I lived in probably 9 different states. I was in, I want to say I went to maybe 13 different schools. And so it was certainly not the easiest. I always say I have my education from Hard Knocks. And those who do follow me, I've mentioned this a few times, that I actually dropped out of high school when I was in 10th grade, and never went back. Don't even have a GED. And that I'm not an advocate for it. I don't proclaim that. I have 3 kids that are 7, 5, and 2. And I know that question is going to come up. And my oldest son says, I don't want to go to school. I just want to do what dad does. And when he realizes that, dad doesn't have a formal education, but then when you look at my amazing wife, and she has her master's and undergrad, and I always say, what she learned in those, 6 years, I'm still learning 20 years later. So it would have been a lot easier if I would have gone to college and just learned those things then. How much further along would I be now? But anyway, so when I was probably about 13 years old, my dad bought the rights to this it almost looks like lipstick, but you twist the bottom and out comes a razor, and it was a portable razor for men. And we were living in California at the time, in Alameda. And so he bought these rights, and I come home from school one day and there's probably, 1,500 of these boxes. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Like what? And my dad says, oh yeah, I kind of did a thing. And I was like, oh, what'd you do? And so they just kind of sat there. And after week by week by week, and then like 3 months later, they're still just sitting there. And I said, Dad, I'm going to go out and sell these. He's like, all right, well, be safe, and that was back when you could ride a bike anywhere, And so sure enough, I put them in my backpack, and they're already packaged, and I put some in my backpack, and I went to Walgreens. And the craziest story is that when I went to Walgreens, I asked to speak to a manager, 13-year-old, asking to speak to a manager. And he comes up in a suit, and this other person's next to him in a suit. And I said, I would like to sell you my dad's product. And so I showed it to him. And he goes, tell you what, have your dad come see me because I can't sign a contract with you. Come back and see me. And we ended up selling 20,000 units or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it never went anywhere. it was just like, and so it was, but that, that definitely sparked the entrepreneurial bug in me. And then when I was 18, and my buddy owned a construction company, and I was like, man, I'm really good at sales. You know how to build stuff. I said, why don't I go and sell the jobs, and I'll help market the jobs. I didn't know anything about marketing at the time, but I was willing to learn. And the biggest lesson I learned, unfortunately, was that I ruined a long-term best friend relationship. And luckily now we're older and we chat and we're able to catch up. But I made some silly mistakes there. So I learned, and then I ended up opening up a pest control company that did really well, and I sold that. And so now I'm still under the age of like 23 at this point. And then I started a .com with a partner, and it did well. I ended up getting picked up by Google. And so then,
Wow.
so we sold that. And then I got into insurance, and I started out at Geico, realized that quickly I was not a telephone guy, but I really enjoyed helping educate and protecting people and their assets. And so then I ended up going to a company called Farm Bureau, and I worked for them for 3 years. And then all of a sudden an opportunity came up that I can open up my own insurance agency, now going back 10 years ago. And we opened that up, and my wife and I, we grew that from 0 clients to close to about an $8 or $9 million book of business. And then, and she's been running it now for the last 4 years. And then it comes to Magazine Jukebox. And so there's some other little things in there in the mix, but we were trying to figure out, going back to 2019, we had some discretionary funds, and we were like, okay, what do we do next? And we just kind of talked about opening up a coffee shop, and that would be fun. And then I said, one of my favorite passions is going to Barnes and Noble, grabbing a magazine, reading a magazine, grabbing a $1.50 cup of coffee, which doesn't exist anymore. And and then I said, and then I get to return the magazine, so I didn't have to spend $12 on that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'd love to have a coffee shop that has what I call a magazine wall. And we actually went as far as we were about to sign the lease on coffee machines. We signed a lease with the commercial building, and then COVID hit. And luckily, the landlord was very, generous. And I don't think he really had any leg to stand on. We didn't build anything. No money was exchanged at that point. We literally just signed, and things were shutting down. And I was in my kitchen, and my wife was sitting in our living room, and I was chatting with her. And I said, it's really unfortunate that someone can't just scan a code and enjoy a magazine without having to give any personal information, without having to download an app, because I truly believe that there's a thing called app fatigue. And, and then when you look up the statistics, like the average use of an app is like one time. And that's not putting down apps. I have plenty of them, and I do use them. But sometimes we are forced to download an app that doesn't make sense, but it made sense in that moment, but it doesn't make sense once we leave that moment. And so I said, and then when I thought about like a doctor's office or even Barnes and Noble, I said, no one was standing there saying, hey, I need your name, phone number, email address in order to read this magazine. And I said, so it's got to be that same kind of customer experience. And then my wife looked at me and she goes, well, why isn't there? Like, that's like the cardinal sin to any entrepreneur. Like, you just open up Pandora's box, honey. Thank you very much. And so 4 years
There's going to be now.
Yeah, exactly. And so 4 years ago, we're trying to figure out, how we're going to develop this thing. And, what is, like, we cannot possibly have thought of an idea that no one has thought about. Like, there's no way that this is possible. You know, we're in 2020. This is insane. And all the research we did, I constantly did research, you know, and pitched it to a couple of buddies. Even had some of my family members sign NDAs, which sorry. I'm sorry I did that to you. It was like the dumbest thing I could have done. And in fact, it was like one of my wife's sisters signed an NDA, and I didn't have the other sister sign the NDA, and it was like,
You were sitting
what's
there
up with
talking to
that?
both
And I'm
of them.
like, I was like, look, I'm an idiot. So, which is great. So I fall back on, I'm not educated, so therefore I'm always the least smart at the table. So I'm okay with that. And so we'll just chalk it up to that. And so what we learned is, like, people really like the idea. They like this concept of scanning and being able to write on your phone. Everybody has their phone. You know, after just like socializing and trying to figure out, nothing like this existed. And I said, okay, but the experiences has to be really good. So what I did is I created a whiteboard video, which is actually on our website now at magazinejukebox.com. And it's on there as an it's an information whiteboard video. And I made this, I spent about $1,000 to have it help make, because I don't know how to make them. I didn't know how to make them. And it gets across the point of what we're trying to create. And then I said, my dad always taught me, why go for bronze and silver? You might as well go for gold. And so instead of me sending this out to like local publishers, I just went to the big dogs, and I started emailing. I investigated what their email, you know, tags were. Like, is it first dot last name, first initial last name? Like, what was it? And so once I learned what it was, I sent out this video to Meredith Corporation, which is now Dot Meredith. And then I sent it out to Hearst Corporation. I sent it out to all these big dogs. And I remember I was sitting at a bank like 3 weeks later after I sent these emails. I was like, I don't know, you know, because we have to get buy-in from publishers. We don't get buy-in, then we're smoke. And so I get a phone call on my phone. It says Meredith. And I'm like looking around. I was like, who's Meredith calling me? You know, like, not thinking Meredith Corporation. And sure enough, I get on the phone and she's like, hey, I got your email. Her name is Sandra. And she's like, you got your email. And she goes, it was perfect timing, because I was actually at the doctor's office when I got your email. And I noticed that there's no magazines there. And I actually took a picture and I sent it over to my husband saying, isn't this sad? And because all that these publishers work so hard for is now gone. And they know
because of the germs.
The germs that are on nobody wants to share magazines. Exactly. And so she knew, and the corporations know, that magazines in commercial spaces are just not coming back. They may come back in small doses, but they'll never be fully back, because the fear of germs and I think, I don't even want to say the fear of germs. It's more that we're more conscientious to germs these days. Like I think I do more fist bumps than I do handshakes these days. And, still, I'm not worried about COVID, but I think it became this natural thing now. And
there's nothing better than free. Ever heard that before? Well, it's not true. You know what your laundromat customers like even better than free? It's fast. That's right. They want to save time more than they want to save money in most cases. They want to get in and out of your laundromat as fast as possible, and they'll pay more for that experience. We're proof of that here in Cincinnati. That's why we added HM Company drain troughs into our newest store in Cincinnati. While they may never know why, your customers will love that your washers all drain better and faster than with old school drain pipes. As if that wasn't enough, every HM drain trough is made in the USA, so they ship in only a few weeks, and everyone is custom made just for you and your project. If you want to provide your customers with a top of the industry experience in your store, then contact your distributor to order your HM Company drain trough today, or visit draintroughs.com.
So then, to our surprise, all these big publishers were like, hey, we really like what you guys are doing here. And we signed mutual NDAs, and they said, get a little further along, get us an MVP, and we'd be willing to come on board. And sure enough, that's kind of where things started. And we went live January of 2022, because it took about a year and a half to create the platform and make it user friendly. And then once we went live, we're now in over 4,000 locations and growing quite rapidly. But then Laundromats, which is where you guys come in. It was kind of a funny story. So we said, hey, we really need to start working on boosting our Google reviews so people can find us. And all of a sudden we get a review on our platform that says, something like, talk about return on investment. This is such a great company. We have it in 7 of our laundromats. And I remember, like, when I see that come across, I kind of like lean across my desk and I'm looking down at my marketing team and I said, we're in laundromats. And they looked back and they said, no, we don't know who that is. And we're like, okay. I said, but then we all of a sudden, like, if you could visualize a light bulb going off on top of everybody's head, like these light bulbs were going off. And we're like, when we talk about a vitamin versus a cure, like, we are a cure. Like, when people go to laundromats, and I know that there's drop-off services now, which is, I think, is fantastic and makes so much sense. But then you have those who don't want to drop off their clothes, and they have to wait. They're and it's not forced to wait by the laundromat, but they're forced to wait because of their own laundry. They have to wait. And I was like, phones can only go so far, like with Facebook, and people get bored, or and I said, we are a cure for helping not only enhance the customer's experience, but we said, how do we evolve this into a return on investment for our laundromat owners, and then on top of that for all of our owners? And that when we started saying we want to boost our Google review, and then all of a sudden we launched one-click Google reviews, and we said we can embed that on the bottom of all their pages. So when someone's scanning for a magazine or playing a game or doing trivia, they can click right there and it goes right to that location's Google review page. They can leave a Google review right on the spot, and it doesn't get much easier than that. And here we are. And that's how we met. Okay. Sorry. Super long-winded. Great show. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. So I want to push pause for a minute. That gave us a great backstory, and apologize if you feel like it took a couple minutes. It's fine. We have plenty of time here with Scott today, but here, let's push pause for a second and just tell people what Magazine Jukebox is as far as a product. So a little, 5-minute commercial, if you will, for all of our viewers out there. And full disclosure, before Scott explains the product, I was intrigued by this for a couple reasons. You actually just hit on a few of them. So when you reached out to me and we started chatting about a partnership and whether we would even use this in our own laundromats, full disclosure, we have been using Magazine Jukebox in our stores for about 4 months now, all 4 of our locations. Our customers absolutely love it. They do have a free service we'll talk about in a minute that literally costs you nothing. It's completely free. And then they have a premium service. We did the premium service, and he talked about the Google reviews and banner ads and personal signage and things like that. And we'll go into all of that with you.
And by the way, that's the only ads they see. Yes. They don't see other company ads. Like, if you get the premium, you get to place ads, and it's just yours, which is nice too.
Well, one of the things that I was kind of intrigued by is, there's this, when you talk about a magazine, I think, at least in my mind, when you say the word magazine, most people think outdated. Right. But magazines and books, for that matter, aren't dying. They're just changing. They're changing to a digital format. And when you think of a laundromat, we have in the past had physical magazines, even pre-COVID, in our stores. Sometimes we would buy subscriptions and drop them off for people to read. Sometimes customers would read the magazine from their own subscription. Then they didn't want it anymore and rather throw it away. They would just sit at the laundromat and we would leave it there. But what happens is they get nasty, they get dirty, they get dingy, they get torn. And people do take them, but they're free, so that's fine. And I always said, what's a better way to provide this service to people? And then when we met, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then even the games and the different things associated with that. So, all right, I'll pause now, and then we'll talk a little bit more about our experience in a minute here. But tell them, for everyone listening, they probably have no idea what Magazine Jukebox is. Can you tell us just kind of about the product and how it helps business owners across all spectrums? By the way, most of our audience are laundromat owners or potential laundromat owners, but most of them that own laundromats also own other businesses. So there's a lot of cross-pollination there. But tell us about the product and kind of what it does functionally.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, and I love the laundromat industry, and I think I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I think also laundromats are about to see a huge upswing as well with our economy, and with a lot of people moving from owning homes to renting homes and back to getting back into apartments and things like that. I think there's going to be a huge boom here in that industry as well, if it's not already. And I don't know your industry, so I don't want to speak out of turn here. But as an entrepreneur, I'm always looking at what are things out there So Magazine Jukebox, we are a digital entertainment platform for commercial spaces. We believe that magazines have a place, physical magazines have a place, but no longer in commercial facilities. We believe that physical magazines are great. I have them at my home and I enjoy reading them. But I do not want to share my magazine with anybody that I don't know. And with Magazine Jukebox, all of our magazines get updated automatically digitally. So when you could scan the code on a Friday and then go back in on a Monday, and it could be a whole slew of different magazines because they've all updated their publications. We deal with some of the greatest publishers out there. From Fido Friendly is a pet traveling magazine, to Hearst, where they have Car and Driver, to Dash Meredith, which is the biggest publication in the world, which is People magazine. So we have all of those on our platform. We don't have as many as some digital magazine apps have, where we've seen, which is crazy. We've seen that they say, oh, we have 7,000 magazines on our app. And I'm like, who the heck has time to sort through 7,000 magazines to decide which one you want to read? And so we really try to focus on heavy hitters, big magazines that we think will speak to our clients. We have about 40, maybe a little more, available for our clients right now. And it does grow, but we are pretty particular on what we allow into the platform. And then we also offer games and trivia, because not everybody's a magazine reader. I know that's hard to believe sometimes for me, but we wanted to provide games that are, simple, easy to use while you're waiting. And then we also wanted to provide trivia, because I love brain teasers. So I'm always looking for ways in which I could be smarter than somebody else, because it's rare, but every now and then I get lucky. So, so we launched that initiative with games and trivia just a few months ago, actually. We've been working on it for quite some time. So that was exciting to see that launch. We've had nothing but fantastic feedback about our games and trivia. And it also speaks to the whole spectrum of the age demographic out there too. Because I remember as a kid, my mom and I going to laundromats, and I remember I had to be kind of dragged along. Now, we didn't have iPads and we didn't have stuff like that when I was a kid. Full disclosure, I'm 40 years old. And so but nowadays, my kids do have access to iPads and phones and things like that. And what I've learned is that my son, in particular, my oldest, is that he could have an Xbox, he can have an iPad, I can give him games, arcades, unlimited games with arcades. If we go somewhere and there's a game there that he doesn't know and it's free, he wants to play that game over what he has. And so we learned that with our platform. So to round it out, we enhance the customer experience for our commercial partners. We give customers something to do, something to enjoy. We give them infotainment, and they don't have to download an app, and they don't have to give personal information. The only thing that they have to give, and this is really important, the only thing they have to give us is their location. And the reason why is because we geofence our QR codes. Otherwise, anyone can go in and take a picture of that QR code and post it on the internet. And if my publishers found out that there was free magazines floating around on the internet, I'd be in... I wouldn't have any publishers on my platform. They would pull immediately.
Well, I think that's one of the cool things about your product is, and I know there's a couple different versions we'll talk about in a minute here, but one of the things I think is really cool about it is I'm always talking about what I call market differentiators in our stores. When people come in our stores, what makes our laundromat different than the guy up the road? And this is an example of one of those things that some people may consider to be small, but when you talk to somebody that's using it, I hear all the time in the last 4 months, this is so cool. And I'm like, well, thanks. And then the next words out of their mouth are, and it's free? Because we talked about, like, there's a free version to us, the owner, and then there's a premium version to us. But in both cases, in all scenarios, to the customer, it's free. So this is something that's going to elevate the value prop of your business. And it may be small, it may be large, depending on how you view it. And we could talk about kind of what's included in the different ones. But it really has made a difference in our business. And anybody that knows Queen City Laundry, our brands, I'm obsessed with every day trying to find another level of what's out there. What can I offer people? And the fact that there's a free version that literally costs us nothing, costs our customers nothing, and gives you the opportunity to increase your value proposition.
Well, and the customer even has access once they leave. What is it? Is it 24 or 36 hours that they can still look at that magazine. So if they don't finish the story they're reading while they're in your store, they still have access for a while after, right?
100% agree. So so that was actually to our surprise. I originally, when I mocked this up and pitched it to publishers, it was actually once they leave the location that the feed would die. And it was actually publishers who said, no, we don't like that. We would like for them to be able to take it with them, because our goal is that they will enjoy it so much that they would ultimately subscribe to their magazine. And so that was our partnership with these magazine publishers is that, we don't pay for their service. They don't pay us. And, but our goal is that people enjoy their magazines in a short stint, that it would drive them to, and it's no different than when it was sitting in a doctor's office.
Want more profits out of your laundromat business? Let us tell you about our new company, LaundroBoost, and how it can help you to boost your profits. You may be thinking you've used digital marketing companies before and they wasted your time and money. Well, that's why LaundroBoost was born. As 14-year veteran laundromat operators ourselves, we've been there, and it's sickening.
So what makes LaundroBoost different? Our team combines technical digital marketing with veteran laundromat operators and coaches to give your campaigns the ideal blend for getting you results. But then we take it a step further with our strategy. Our strategy is to be hyper vigilant with every marketing dollar, so no fluff.
Yeah, in the beginning, we focus on a three-pronged approach that we think is unique in the industry. The first is website design and landing pages, making sure those are honed in properly. The second is daily analytics studies and strategy with your Google AdWords campaigns. And the third is geofencing. It focuses on your nearest competitors and where your ideal customers live and where they shop. We believe we've got something special, and we've spent our own dollars here in Cincinnati to test it, and we're growing faster now than ever before.
To learn more, schedule a free discovery call and market study for your market. Visit laundroboostmarketing.com today.
To your point, Dave, too, is that yes, we offer a free service. It is 100% free. We won't ask you for a dime. We don't ask for a credit card. It's not one of those, hey, we're going to sign up now and then 7 days from now, we're going to charge your card. None of that. Like, we don't do any of that. It is truly free. We still have to geofence, so we can't get around that. So we need to have the location.
Can you pause for a minute there in case anyone isn't aware? Geofencing, the technology is newer in the world. We own a digital marketing company, LaundroBoost, which does marketing for laundromats and dry cleaners and stuff like that. Separate business, but we are doing geofencing for marketing purposes. Geofencing certain locations, grabbing their RFID off their phones, and then tracking them and retargeting them on the internet is one of the digital marketing services that we offer. So it uses the same technology. But for anyone that's not aware, can you explain what geofencing is and how it applies to your product and laundromats specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So geofencing is a geographical location. It could be laid flat, and it could also stack high. And what I mean by that is you could be in a building on the 16th floor and maybe you purchased our service. We want to make sure that the 15th and the 14th floor doesn't have access, but only the 16th floor does at that location. So yeah, you certainly stack. But yeah, but with geofencing, we can say, okay, if your business is at 123 Main Street, we want to make sure that 124 Main Street doesn't get that same privilege that you're paying for. Now on the free side, a little bit different, but we still use geofencing because we're hoping that 124 may see that and want to buy our service. But to full transparency, and I'm a very transparent person, is that we offer it for free, but it is very limited in scope. And what that means is that it's on our premium side, we offer 12 magazines and 8 games, trivia, however you want to mix that up. With our free side, it's only 4 magazines that gets changed monthly. So it's not a consistent, you're not going to get People magazine every single month. It's going to change up because what we've learned is if we just say, hey, pick your magazines, essentially to that, we've given that publisher the holy grail of all the free magazines, and they're getting tons of usership while the other ones are sitting in the wings hoping to get that. So we want to change it out. And that appeases our publishers, and also to an extent, it also our end users, your customers in this case, can enjoy a different magazine every time they come. So if they're coming back every, couple of weeks, then they get to experience a different magazine. Again, our hope there is that they would go and subscribe to the magazine, but we do not force it on our platform. We do not put any pop-up ads. There's no paywalls. You don't have to, put in an email in order to keep reading this magazine. None of that. Once you scan and accept the location, then you go right in any magazine, any game you want to play. There's no wall, there's no barrier at that point. Mm-hmm. But back to the geofencing is that we use that to make sure that it's not freely given out, because all the magazines that we have on our platform, they do not freely give out their magazines. They are a paid service. They're a higher end magazine. I think People Magazine alone is over $100 a year to subscribe to their magazine. We want to protect our publishers, but we also want to provide a great service to end users while ultimately enhancing the customer experience, which pleases our customers.
As Dave mentioned earlier, I mean, it protects. So it protects our laundromat. It makes that market differentiator. Basically, the geofencing just says they have to be in our laundromat for that QR code to give them a magazine for it to work. And then once they leave, they have, 24 to 36 hours that it still works, but they can't take that QR code with them and scan it and get a new magazine. It's whatever they scanned while they were in there. So exactly. Going back to the difference between the freemium, as they call it, the free service versus the premium. So with the free service, they can get 4 magazines, 2 games, but those are selected by you all. You all change them every month, so there is a rotation. But then with the premium service, which is, I don't think we've mentioned, but it's $39.99 a month, unless you use our discount, which we'll talk about. But it is 12 magazines and 8 games, right? Is that right? Yep. Yeah, 12 magazines and 8 games. And we have some choice in those, right?
Complete choice.
We have complete choice of what 12 and what 8. So that's another kind of benefit to going up to the premium. And then I know we mentioned it briefly before, but your model has absolutely no pop-up ads, no ads whatsoever, unless you get the premium. Then you yourself, as a laundromat owner, can add both an ingoing and an outgoing ad. So an ingoing ad, when they first scan the QR code before they pick their magazine and everything, you can put an ad there. And then as they exit it, you can put an ad there. So this is a great opportunity to put up, maybe a promotion that you're having, advertise your drop-off or pick-up and delivery services, or obviously get a Google review, increase your reviews. So I just wanted to kind of make that difference there.
And Carla, so we've had the service for about 4 months, and I know about 2 months ago you set up our banner ads and stuff like that. What are the promotions we're doing right now, and what were limitations to those that you saw, or if any?
So as far as the ads, the 2 ads that we're doing now, one is for a Google review. We have that as our outgoing as they leave, because we want that to have given them time to already use our laundromat and have an opinion. And then our ingoing, we're actually currently advertising for a service that we're starting soon. So we do wash, dry, fold services right now, but we're introducing a cheaper option called wash, dry, bag. So we don't fold and hang it. So it's those people that don't want to spend the time in the laundromat to do their laundry, but they don't want to pay the full drop-off price of us having it folded and hang and everything. Basically, it gets washed, it gets dried, it gets thrown in a bag, they pick it up and they can fold it and stuff at home. So we're advertising that we're going to be starting that soon. As far as limitations, there's a certain size image that they want, but they're very good to work with. The marketing team at Magazine Jukebox is fabulous as far as helping you make sure you can create those images or help you create those images if needed. And then you can also tell them whatever links you want. So it can be an interactive ad. So like literally the Google ad has a link where when they click on it, it goes to our Google review page, so you can link it to something if they so choose to click on it. That will take them to that page. The only other limitation is, I would say, like how long it shows, but you don't want it to show for a long time. You don't want your customers to have to look at an ad forever before they can get onto their magazine. So I don't know. Do you have any thing that I didn't hit as far as the advertising?
I know one other thing that I'll jump out with the free version. They send you 10 free QR code stickers that are just kind of, I'm going to call them generic, and I don't mean that in a bad way, Scott. QR code that goes specific to your store because you're geofenced, and you provide those to them with that free service. If you upgrade, you get kind of a package of customizable services, and you do have to pay for most of them, but you can actually put, the same types of things, only they're not generic, but there's a bigger plethora of options to choose from: full-size posters, table tents, things like that. But they customize them, so they put our logo, Queen City Laundry, on all these things, and there's stickers too that we put throughout our store. So those people are just sitting there watching TV or whatever, and they look down and they see this tabletop tent type of thing, and it has our logo on it. So it looks like a service we're providing to them, because it is. All I can say is, we've been using it for about 4 months, and it did everything we hoped it would do and more. It's helping us get more reviews. We're doing the premium service, the paid service for each location. And what's the discount, Carla? What's the discount we negotiated?
Well, I was going to add one more thing before I share the discount. Is also the ads can be different for each location, which I really liked. And obviously, because our Google reviews are different for each location and everything. So I like that you could adjust it. And that's part of because it's geofenced. So our discount, is 25% off. So instead of the $39.99, you're looking at $29.99, basically $30 instead of $40. So you get 25% off if you use our code LM25 when you register for this awesome opportunity.
Yep. So I'm sure Scott needs to fill in the gaps on some of the things we didn't cover.
How bad did we butcher it?
If you do go to our website and you go under the services page where all of our partnerships are, Magazine Jukebox is we're proud to have them as a new partner. As you all know, we try to negotiate discounts so that everyone gets value. But the cool thing about this is, if you don't want to use the 25% off on the premium, you can get the free service as well. So there's, you can put that in all your locations completely for free. You just have some of those limitations. And I always tell people it's a great way to try it out. So we kind of jumped in. We have 4 locations. So we got 25% off, $160 across 4 stores. And then we got 25% off of that. And I can tell you, we've never gotten reviews as quickly as we're getting them right now. And Magazine Jukebox is a help to that. But we're also constantly getting compliments from people that are telling us things like, "This is so cool. You've thought of everything." And we always tell them, well, that's kind of what we're here to do. And we're going to keep doing that. So we don't know what the next Magazine Jukebox is, but we're always looking to increase our value prop. And I think the coolest thing of the whole product is that it's technically free if you want it to be. Like, no commitment, nope. We're not going to ding your card, all the things Scott talked about earlier. So I'll stop rambling now because I'm not the expert on this, but we recommend it highly enough. We wanted to bring this to the laundromat industry with a partnership. We were able to negotiate a discount, but the fact that it's a freemium service, and literally everyone listening to this can put it in every small business or every large business that they have completely for free if you want to, with no obligation and no commitment, and it's going to raise the value prop of your business. So Scott, we're going to take a deep breath. What did we miss? Is there anything we didn't hit on? Because as you can tell, we're pretty excited because, sometimes when we bring partnerships to the Laundromat Millionaire platform, there is a commitment, there is a cost, and you got to buy this $10,000 widget or whatever, but it's going to pay off in so many years, and they're much bigger commitments. This is like a no-lose situation when it comes to business owners, in my opinion. So what are things that we've missed? What are the gaps that we should fill in for people?
Yeah. So you guys did a great job. You're hired, bring you on. I think that, there's just a couple things that I would like to point out. One that was brought to our attention, especially from hospitals that we're in, a lot of hospitals, is that it's not just the customer appreciation, but it's also employee appreciation. Like, it's giving employees during their break time a magazine or a game or something to read and enjoy, whether on break, or they can cheat and they can scan it and then take it home and read it. So they, I always encourage those who are getting our service, like, check with your staff, ask them, hey, is there a magazine out of this list that you would like? Why not? Like, let them partake and enjoy, and then they feel like they're part of it. And the more that they enjoy it, the easier it's going to be for employees to recommend it. They're going to be able to say, hey, I see, you're waiting. We do offer magazines, games, and trivia. I see your son here on his iPad. He may want to scan that. It's all PG and better. In fact, the games are all G rated. I only say PG because sometimes magazines, they put on covers that are it could be like a body. I think we have men and women's health magazine, and
Yeah.
and all the the men on there I aspire to be, to look like. Just kidding.
I've accepted the fact I never will be, but that's okay.
Yeah, it seems way more fun to be where I'm at today than it is like being on their diet regimen.
Yeah,
they say dad bod is trendy now, right?
Yeah, right.
That's right. I keep hoping for that. But yeah, and the other thing that I would share is that we run, so when someone's selecting the magazine, down at the bottom is that banner ad that sits there, and that we talked a lot about Google reviews, but some people may not be interested in Google reviews, but they may have a newsletter that they're trying to get more people to sign up for the newsletter. And that's been a big trend. So people have wanted to use it to get people to give their email address to sign up for the newsletter. Giveaways. Also, there's this big one is surveys. A lot of times commercial partners are wanting to get feedback from their customer on what they can do to enhance, or where they came from, why did they choose them, all kinds of questions. And they could always work with us to do a survey.
I didn't realize about the banner ad. So does the banner ad stay up the whole time they're like looking at the magazine and everything?
Not while they're looking at the magazine, just while they're looking for a magazine. So when they're scanning or a game or trivia, it stays at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reason why is because our agreement with publishers is that, they get, in order for their magazines to stay alive, a lot is to do with advertisers on their magazines. And so we want those advertisers to be seen and not be confused with something we have running on the bottom. But you hit it spot on. The intro, we call it intro and outro ad. And so you have the intro ad, you have the outro ad. One thing that I didn't share and that you all brought to my attention too is that for those who do marketing or trying to get their name out there more or get clicks and all that, one of the things you pay close attention to is what is the click-through rate? What is the click-through rate on your advertisement, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, or any of those services? To be a rock star at click-through rate, you're looking for a 2%. If you can get to 2% with any of those others, you're a rock star. Our average click-through rate is 7.96%. We blow it out of the water. And it's because we are catching your customers in that moment. We're catching them where it makes the most sense for them. And that's why a lot of businesses are very interested also in us, is because they do a great job marketing to bring people in, but then they do a lousy job of marketing to the people that are in. So why are we not marketing to those who are in? And also one thing that we haven't mentioned is that it's coming soon. And we're super excited, but we have built a very robust dashboard, very super robust. And it is going to have the ability to alert you when it takes a 90-day screenshot of how many scans you've had. And it can alert you when the scans go down below that threshold by maybe 10 or 15% or go high. And the reason why that's important is because if a QR code did get marked on, the QR code is not working anymore, or maybe someone tried to steal it and take it home and they realized it was worthless at home. So it will alert you to then say, hey, why did our scans go down all of a sudden? Let's go back and say, someone took that, or someone marked, or that got cut. So they end up replacing it. And then the scans, or if you have an increase in scans, it will alert you too. If it's, hey, you've done something incredibly right here. And then you can find out that, hey, accidentally, maybe we moved the QR code from here to over here on a tabletop, banner or whatever. And by moving over there, we increased our scans, tremendously. So the dashboard will allow you to do that. The dashboard also allow you to change out magazines. You'll be able to see what your bottom feeding magazines are. So maybe you have one magazine on there that no one's reading. One of my favorite magazines on our platform is called Jazz Times. I don't play a lick of music. I enjoy music, but I enjoy the history of music, and so that's what Jazz Times does. And so it always drives my staff nuts because they're like, "Hey, what magazine are we putting up today?" And I'll be like, "Jazz Times," and they'll say, "Yeah, we're not putting that up anymore." But you can look at the bottom feeder and then say, "Okay, let's change that out. Let's change that with another magazine and get some more traction." And then also to those who bring their children into laundromats or any commercial facility with them, Please, also know that we have Highlights magazine on there. And one thing we have not talked about is all of our magazines are audible. So someone can actually click and listen. The magazine can actually be read to them, which is really, really exciting. And so maybe you do have a child, or maybe you're watching your laundry, or maybe you're, just wanting to stay, you observe your, what's around you, but you want to read a magazine, then great. You can listen to it. It can be read to you, and you don't have to actually sit there and read the magazine. So it allows you. Yeah. So it's, so it's a fantastic feature. Been really great. So those are some things that I would highlight. And I would say, yeah, what's it worth to any business owner to gain one Google review? What's that worth to them? I've spent in my course of owning businesses, it's not unheard of for me to spend $1,000 a month to get one Google review, because I understand that by being up to date and current on my Google reviews, people are going to naturally want to come to me first over someone who hasn't had a review in 6 months or even a review period. And so we help drive and encourage that traffic. And so, and then on the newsletter side, if someone chooses to have people sign up for the newsletter, what a great way to hey, we have a new location opening up, and now you have 4,000 people in that area that are on your newsletter that you spit that out, and all of a sudden they all get it. And now they're like, hey, that's great. I'm going to go check that out. So there's newsletters are a great add-on to sign up.
Well, one thing I will say too, when it comes to just the collecting emails and phone numbers and text marketing and email marketing and things like that, a lot of laundromats, aren't up to date with technology. Heck, our industry isn't really up to date with technology in general. And so there's a lot of laundromats out there that are nice, well-run laundromats that just don't have modernized innovation and technology. And so I hear all the time, I'd love to collect emails, but how would I do that? I just take quarters, and even if you have someone in the store, they're going to walk around and write down emails, and there's gated Wi-Fi and things like that people can do that they either don't know about or don't make the investment in. This is an inexpensive and, quite frankly, a free way to collect emails and start building your email list. And as we mentioned, we do email marketing, we do text marketing from collecting those email lists, and we've had drawings in our store where we collected emails to collect them in different ways. This is something that's semi-automated that you can set up within the premium version, and that's something we can do as well. We did talk about earlier, we don't collect credit cards and emails and things like that. Now we're talking about emails.
Well, it's not mandatory. The customer doesn't have to give you. It's if they clicked for the newsletter or for discounts or whatever.
So it pops up, and what is it, Scott? Do you remember that? Is it like 6 seconds or something that comes up? And if you, for example, if we ask for an email on the outro, and if they just wait 4 seconds or 6 seconds or something like that, it just goes away. So you're not requiring them to, but they kind of have to sit there and wait through that time. Do you remember what that time frame is on that on the back end?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought this up too. So we're always looking to enhance our user experience, and one of the things is that we had those ads pop up with no countdown on them, and we were noticing that some people would just think that their phone may be frozen after within 3 seconds, and then they were swiping off. So then we said, no, we've got to put a countdown on there. Just like everywhere I go, I want to see that countdown. I want to know on YouTube what time this commercial's over, so I can get back to watching my show. And so we added that countdown, and it's 6 seconds. So so I think that we're always testing what is someone's threshold of how long they'd be willing to endure an ad, before getting. And also we want it to continue to be an enjoyable experience. And so we want that. But you brought up the point about Wi-Fi, and I want to make sure that your listeners and viewers understand that our service does not require a Wi-Fi. If they have internet service on their phone and they're in there, then that's great, and they can use it. They do not have to log into a Wi-Fi system in order to use it. But if you are in a metal box, some of these commercial buildings are metal boxes, as I call them, and internet service is sluggish or slow, and they provide a Wi-Fi, we always want to encourage. So we always encourage hey, put our QR code near where the Wi-Fi login and password is. Sure.
When you were talking about the product and then the dashboard, I have just a couple of questions. One is, so I know some of our audience have largely Spanish speaking clientele. For the magazines, are there any Spanish options? Or I know you said it can be read to you. Could it be read to you in a different language? What kind of options do you have for other languages?
This question comes up almost every single time. And we if there is a Spanish speaking magazine out there that wants to be on our platform, we want you. Like we don't charge, it's free. You just send us an API key and we'll do it. We had people in Espanol, and unfortunately magazines shutter often, and that means they go out of business or they stop allowing a digital print or whatever. And or if they go to all digital, then we're not necessarily a great platform for them because they are still trying to drive a print, like we're looking for the ones that maybe are driving print. Yeah, unfortunately we have not, we had success and then it like shuttered. That was such a letdown. There's plenty of Hispanic magazines out there. But unfortunately they're just hard to zone in on because of how they structure their magazine, but we're still very hopeful for that. And then on the Audible side, I do believe there is a way to have that translated, but most people that speak other language actually have apps that whatever it has on your screen, it will translate for them as well. So we've learned that as well. But stay tuned. We're always changing. We're always expanding. We're always growing. And my hope is as we continue to expand and gain more and more viewership, magazines, like they come to us now, but we will be more well known, and then they start coming to us that much more. So stay tuned. It will happen. It will. You know what? I'm gonna
make it.
So here's my commitment. 2024 by December 31st at 11:59 p.m. we will have a Hispanic magazine on our platform. I don't know when it's going to land, somewhere in the year, but it's going to happen.
We're holding you to it.
If I don't get it, then everybody gets another $5 off a month off their magazine. So there you go.
Careful, these things are evergreen.
My marketing team is going to kill me now that I just said that. So Lexi, Meg, my apologies.
All right. So before we let you go today.
I have one more question. Yeah. And you might have mentioned this. The dashboard. I know you're coming out with this robust dashboard, which I'm really excited about because I know I've already been bugging you all about. So how many downloads have we had? From that dashboard, can we also update the ads to change them out?
100%.
Make them,
yep.
Okay, awesome.
We want to make everything as automated as possible. It helps us. It helps you. We believe that you're paying for the service. So therefore you should have the capability to make changes as you need. Yeah, the dashboard, our team is working hard over there at Simple Thread. We partner. They're also investors in our company, and their CEO, Justin, is our CTO, and they are working extremely hard to get that dashboard. We've been working months and months on it, and every time I talk to them, it just gets that much more exciting. So stay tuned on that for sure.
I'm excited.
That's what I was going to say before we go today, is I was just going to say how excited I am that, you guys are technically still like kind of a startup, right? 3 years in, technology wise is not a long journey, right? And so you've figured out this awesome core product that we already like. And then things like the dashboard and all these innovations that are coming that maybe you haven't even thought of the idea of yet, that are coming down the road. The product is just going to continue to get better and better for consumers, which is going to elevate our value prop in our stores. So that's it. That excites me as much as anything, that this is kind of the beginning of a journey. I know we're not day one, we're 3 years in and you have established business here. But it's pretty exciting for me. Like I said, we use the premium service in all 4 of our locations and don't regret it. We've already found value in the QR codes and we're going to do the email collection and different things like that. But like I said, I just want to remind everyone real quick, we'll go down a rundown. So the free service is for any business that's out there. It literally costs nothing. No credit card, no email, no spamming, nothing like that. You get 4 digital magazines a month that they choose, that the company chooses, Magazine Jukebox, and they select those randomly. So they're changing in and out. You just kind of get what you get. 2 games, and then they send you 10 of the free generic QR code stickers to put throughout your store. And of course, you can take that QR code and make your own posters or whatever you want throughout the store. That's the free version. Everyone listening can get that. Everyone listening should get that. It's really crazy if you don't, in my opinion, because no matter how good or bad your business is right now, this is something that's, not too many things are really free. Usually there's a catch, and this really is free.
There is no catch.
There is no catch. And I will put my credibility on the line for that. And you try it for a while, and I think you're going to find that you want to upgrade and go to the premium. If you do that, you're going to get 25% off for the first year of the premium service for each location. That, just to give you a recap, is the premium is $39.99 a month per location. You get 12 magazines that you choose and customize those. You get 8 games, or what was the other thing? Trivia. 8 games or trivia. You get 2 banner ads, and then you get the ability to customize and personalize with your own logo, the signage, the table tents and stickers and QR codes and things like that in your store. And they have a cool little, like, I'm going to call it a digital store, where you can go in and it actually has your logo already on all these products, and they're pretty reasonably priced. You just purchase a package of 5 of these, 10 of these, 3 of these tabletops or whatever. They just ship it right out to your location. You just open it up, set them right out on the table, and people immediately start using it. Anything I'm missing before we let you go today?
The code for that 25% off, LM25. Remember that.
And if you just go to our
or
website,
go to our services page.
Yeah, if you go to our services page, you'll see all the different products and partnerships that we have with all the different companies there and the different discounts we've negotiated. But if you click on the Magazine Jukebox page, there's actually a link right there. So I think you just click on that link and it just opens it right up, and pop that code in there, and you'll be good to go.
You guys nailed it. Thank you. And I certainly, to your viewers and listeners, we're excited to have you. We certainly pray for your success, and we want you guys to do well and thrive. And thank you for taking care of your customers and meeting them where they're at. It's a needed thing to put our customers first again, and that's it's super important to listen to them. And this has been great, and we are readily accessible to answer any questions and help out. And but yeah, certainly. And if you contact us without putting that code, please let us know that you found us, through Dave, and and of course Carla, and that way we can make sure we're giving credit where credit's due.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, I think that's all we have for today. So listen, for Dave and Carla Menz here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and our buddy Scott over at Magazine Jukebox and the whole team over there, we hope you get some free value out of this, improve your business a little bit. If me and Carla can help you in any way, by all means, reach out to us, shoot us an email. We're always here to help you with your business in any way that we can. But we're going to keep growing these types of partnerships to bring value to the industry. Scott, we appreciate you guys getting on board and reaching out and trying to bring value to the industry. I think there's a lot of win-win in these relationships that we can do move forward. So I'm going to say it one last time, guys. It's free. There's no strings attached. You heard it from my mouth. I say dumb things all the time, but I don't say things that aren't true. So don't ever forget that.
All right,
listen, we'll let everybody go for today. Scott, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. We know you're busy.
Thank you.
We'll let you get back to business. And if we can ever do anything for you, please let us know.
This is great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank
you got
you,
it.
Scott.
Everyone,
Take care.
for Dave and Carla Menz in Cincinnati, Ohio, we'll see you next time for another episode of the Laundromat Millionaire Show. Take care and have a new year.